Offense or defense, which side of the field do we feel more comfortable and confident in going into this Clemson? Is it South Carolina offense or defense, or is it both? I'll tell you why it might be that third one. Locked On Gamecocks starts right now.
You are Locked On Gamecocks, your daily podcast on the South Carolina Gamecocks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Guys, I missed the spin move from yesterday. The spin move was, you know what? I'm too close. I'm too close to this ottoman back here. We tried to do the spin move. We're a little bit energetic. We're a little bit fired up. Let's have a day. Listen, it is Tuesday. What is it? November 26th. And we are talking about Clemson-South Carolina. And we have a great show for you today. We have a quick show for you today. Your boy got a haircut. He's feeling confident. He's feeling fresh. Let's have ourselves a Tuesday afternoon and break down this game. Before we do, I want to say thank you to everyone making Locked On Gamecocks your first listen each and every day. Shout out to our everydayers. Remember, we are a free and available podcast wherever you get your podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Before we start, I want to also tell you about our friends at Game Time app. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends at the Game Time app. And it's you download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, all caps, for $20 off your first purchase. And let's get into the show. So today's show. All right. So sorry, brief connection mess up here, but strong start as usual with the show. I'm fired up. It is Clemson week. It is Clemson hate week. There is so much riding on this game, and we're going to find out tonight even more what is riding on it. We talked about this yesterday. We'll talk about the playoff stuff. I know you guys. I feel like you guys are almost tired of talking about the playoff thing because it's super exciting, right? Like it's super exciting to be a part of. You're fired up about it and all that kind of stuff. But there's the other part of it, which is like, okay, well, Clemson. Okay. So there's the other part of it that is like very frustrating in terms of, all right, this weekend, like there's just so much more on the line than that. Like, I feel weird saying this. There's so much more on the line than just the playoff appearance, because this is a rivalry that means a ton to a ton of people. I've grown up in the state. I've lived in the state off and on for most of my adult life. I said this yesterday. It's the same way as it is with Mississippi or Alabama. You are born and you pick a side, and that's it. You don't have any College of Charleston fans. Like, I mean, you might have some to go there. People go to the Citadel, maybe Coastal Carolina. I don't know, but like, you're born in the Palmetto State, and you're either a South Carolina Gamecock or you're a Clemson Tiger. You're born in Alabama, you're either Auburn or Bama. Pick one, go. Mississippi, Ole Miss, Mississippi State. Tales all the time. Happens in a lot of places. But it's different in South Carolina because this is a group of people that you're tired of being pushed around. You're tired of being like needled at and putting someone's index finger right in the middle of your chest and telling you you're not as good as us and you've lost 8 of the last 9 and blah, blah, blah. We've done this and we won 2 championships. That's great. That's great. It feels like there's just so much of a release that is waiting to happen. Notice how good the phrasing was there, by the way. But it feels like there's so much of a release that is waiting to happen for South Carolina fans. Like, this is bubbled up and you have waited. The thing I compared it on radio this morning to somebody, and I was like, it reminds me a little bit of this. I remember in 2008, Alabama played Auburn in the Iron Bowl, and I think Auburn had won 6 straight at that point. And I remember going into that game, Bama fans knew they were going to win. So it's a little bit awkward. It's a little bit different here because you're an underdog and you feel like you have a really good chance of winning. But like, I don't think we all know, all right, we are going to beat the crap out of them. I think in that one, it was like Bama was like 11-0, Auburn was like 5-6. And so it like, you knew they were going to win. They won like 36-0. But the like release after the game, like the chance, the sing and rammer jammer, like, you know, all that kind of stuff. South Carolina fans, a part of me wishes it was in Williams-Brice, obviously, but like the other part of me thinks it's like, I'm excited to go do this in front of them on their own home field. Keep your ass off the field after the game. We're not gonna be storming the field after any win this week. Hope you guys had fun doing that against Citadel last week. It's the last one of the season. Like that type of thing. Like, what's the phrase we keep talking about? I know General Will says it all the time. Walk in Yo Trap, take over Yo Trap. All the time. Shout out General Will on Twitter. Fantastic follow if you don't follow him already. Good dude. So, I think going into the game as it gets closer, it's always a weird week. It's like Tuesday. It's like, you're getting into like the start of the week. And then you also have, you have Thanksgiving on Thursday. And then the game's not till Saturday. The noon kick, honestly, I think helps South Carolina a little bit. Hard to get up for a noon game for a lot of teams. I don't think it's hard to get up for any game for the South Carolina team right now. I just don't. I love the idea that this team is going in with this underdog mentality because they have been underdogs for most of the season. And I love the idea that this team gets an opportunity. The thing that I think might be at stake more than anything else, and I truly believe this. You might lose a lot on defense next year. You got a lot of guys that are huge, valuable players that are upperclassmen on that side of the ball. But you have this chance for South Carolina, and it's awesome to make a playoff. It's awesome to win, a 9th game, potentially a 10th game in the postseason, all that kind of stuff. That's great. You have a chance to do something that long-term may be more valuable, and that is flipping the momentum, the entire momentum of what's in this state right now, flipping that around and owning this state moving forward, owning this state. Clemson already doesn't out-recruit you in this state very often because they don't seem to put a lot of emphasis in recruiting this state. It's not a state it's a battleground for a lot of 4- and 5-star recruits. We talked about this a lot of times, guys. It's like maybe you get 6. Between 4 and 6, it seems like the average of 4 or 5 stars or better. 4 stars or better recruits in this state. But owning the state and putting a metaphorical fence up around the state, not just in recruiting, in on the recruiting trail, but like to show everyone like, hey, like this man is past his prime. Dabo's time is done. It doesn't matter if he gets another 5-star quarterback or an Elite 11 quarterback like DJU or Cade Klubnik. His time is done. It's done. We have a guy who has just breathed life into this university and this program and completely turned it around. And it's sustainable. It's not like it was when it was with Spurrier, even where it's like I know they have the 11 wins, but it's like he's not going anywhere anytime soon. He loves this school. He loves where he's at. He has a ton of pride in what he's building and what he's already built and what he's going to continue to build. The facilities have upgraded. You have seen the different programs and different sports feeding off of each other. Women's basketball to men's basketball. Ray Tanner trying to kind of have his hand in all these different things, and it's all fueled together and fed off each other. And on Saturday, you have a very real chance. You own these idiots in baseball. You own these idiots in basketball. You own everyone in women's basketball. I know you lost yesterday, whatever. We'll talk about it later. UCLA lost by 15. Very surprising first regular season loss since 2021, whatever. You own all these people in those sports. You do still have, in the last 15 years, 2 national titles in baseball. Get back to that, right? Like, you have a really good opportunity here to turn the momentum and the shift, this tidal wave of momentum, to turn completely around from what has favored Clemson over the last decade to burying these MFs, burying them. I'm fired up. I'm sorry for the almost bad language, but there is a really, really good opportunity, to go in here and do that. Also, I just realized that if you're watching this show on YouTube, it says Monday's episode instead of Tuesday's episode. So we're off to a pretty great start. I've already messed up something in the background. I think the internet's fine. I don't know. But it's Tuesday episode. There we go. We're back. We're going to take a short break. When we get back, I want to talk about what the strength is that you can count on most. What are you most confident in going into this weekend? Because I think a lot of us probably think it's the defense. I don't know if it's the offense. Let's get into it when we come back. Appreciate you guys listening. Stay tuned. Locked On Gamecocks continues next. All right, welcome back into Locked On Gamecocks. It's your host, Chris Marler. I hope you guys are having a great day. Before we get started back into the actual breakdown and getting some more stuff, I'm going to tell you about just a couple of things I think that are being overlooked. One thing in particular, one stat that Clemson does really, really well that South Carolina's going to have to stop. We'll get to that here shortly. Before we do get into that, I want to remind you once again, today's episode is brought to you our friends at Game Time, and oh, what friends they are. They have been fantastic to us. They will be fantastic to y'all as well if you make them your primary source for finding tickets. They just do a phenomenal job. I've said it over and over, not just in the user ability and the easiness of using it being a user-friendly app for one, but the other part of it is the customer service out of this world. Is that not one of the most frustrating things in the world when you are trying to figure out a situation or an incident? If you've got tickets, the customer itself and the consumer seems to always be the very last person they had in mind in terms of convenience or help or anything in between. One of the things I love about Game Time app is they do a phenomenal job, right? They do a phenomenal job. You take the guesswork out of buying tickets for one, but also you're talking about the lowest price guarantee. And if you find somewhere cheaper, they'll credit you 110% of the difference. That's one. It's also covered by the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. And that's something I think that we do not talk nearly enough about. They love their fans. They're committed to ensuring that you have an outstanding experience when you buy it from Game Time. And their team is so proud to offer the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So you can be rest assured they've got your back. Buy with confidence, knowing that your purchase is covered by the Game Time ticket coverage. That includes lowest price guarantees, event cancellation protection, 24-hour returns guarantees, job loss assurance, and on-time ticket delivery. You've heard me brag about so many things in this app and so many different types of events you can go to. But today, let me tell you one more time just how good the customer service is, because you will not be disappointed. So go download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONCollege. That's LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. And then after that, terms apply. Create an account, though. Redeem the code. Spell out Locked On College. Spell out in the ad read. Good job, Chris. LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time, guys. We almost got through an entire ad read without a single mess up, but we'll shoot our shot again tomorrow. How about that? All right. Let's talk about something real quick before we get into the offense and defense and which one we think is more. We have more confidence in. And again, this is going to be a short show today. I'm down here in Tampa. I'm visiting my girlfriend's family for Thanksgiving. So this has been one of those things, which is like touch and go, trying to spend as much time with them, but also being able to have working internet, give you guys a show. I appreciate the patience. You guys have been awesome. That just real quick, again, shout out to you guys. Posted the thing yesterday and the comments that I'm always so worried to read on YouTube. It was awesome. You guys were incredible and incredibly nice and incredibly patient. And I appreciate it, honestly, more than you know. So thank you for that. And I hope you guys are having a great Thanksgiving with you and yours as well. Now, real quick, second part of the show. What are you more confident in, the offense or the defense? I think the easy answer here is the defense, right? Like the defense has been great all year long for South Carolina. Why would you feel any sort of hesitation on that at all? Let me give you just a pushback on that a little bit, okay? South Carolina, by the way, this season, let me just tell you how great the season's been. In their last 10 games, they're 8-2 against the spread, 7-3 overall on the season. They're 8-3 against the spread and 8-3. What do you call it? 8-3 against the spread and 8-3 overall as well. Going into this game, the offense has just become different, okay? And you think about some of those first games early on, like I know you put up 30 against Kentucky, you put up 33 against LSU. You had a lot of help on defense against Kentucky. Oklahoma was like that, even with 35. But you look at the last couple games, A&M you put up 44, Vandy you put up 28, Mizzou you put up 34, Wofford you put up 56. That's a phenomenal job of averaging what? I can't do it in my head right now. I mean, I probably could actually. Hold on. 100 plus 162, so 162 divided by 4. So you're averaging, that can't be right. Yeah, you're averaging, what's 134 plus 28, guys? Great radio here. 134 plus 28 is 162, which divided by 4 means that's 40.5 points per game in those last 4 games. That is phenomenal. Here's what I'm going to give you the pushback on, because the defense has been great. You have 12 against Wofford. You have 7 against Vandy, which is phenomenal on the road. You give up 30 to Mizzou, and you give 20 to A&M, but only 3, I believe, in the second, or you give none in the second half. The Mizzou thing worries me because it's the first time I've seen this defense look beatable. Like, Mizzou was able to run the ball well. They were able to pick up intermediate routes very well. It wasn't like, and here's the thing about that, is like, that is not like that South Carolina played horribly. They played a good team. They played a good team with a veteran quarterback who has over 35 starts in his career, one of the best receiving, like, what do you call it, receiving cores in the country, and you played a good team. Here's what concerns me about playing Clemson, and there's one stat specifically that worries me the most. Clemson does have a really good young group of receivers. They're not as good as Missouri's. They're not as good as Ole Miss's. They are probably not as good. Well, maybe as good as Bama's. I don't think there's anyone else. And they probably aren't as good as LSU's. What worries me is it feels like, as of right now, the offense is clicking to a point where they are going to be able to score at least 30 points. I know that Clemson has a good defense. I know that they have done a phenomenal job in terms of, this defense is allowed. Let me look at it real quick. 22 points per game, which ranks 40th in the country. That's fine. You look at some of their last couple games, it doesn't – they gave up 14 to Citadel. They gave up 20 to Pitt, 14 to Vatech, 33 to Louisville, 31 to Virginia, which is outrageous. Before that, they didn't give over 14 points in 3 straight games. NC State, they gave up 35, but it was a bloodbath. That game was over very quickly. Piggybacking off the NC State comment, now that game was played back in September. They're very different teams now. But it started this trend with Clemson that is something they used to do a very good job of several years ago. It used to be one of my staple bets every single week. Clemson first quarter, Clemson first half. When they had Trevor Lawrence, they had, guys like that, like they jumped on people and they jumped on them early. Jumped on them early. I think I remember Georgia Tech came one time where they won, like they were up like 56-3 at the half or something crazy because they were pissed that Georgia Tech was negatively recruiting some players. That was a Trevor Lawrence game, right? Like that's it's a while ago. But they started to do that a couple times this year where they were a different team, especially at home in the first quarter and the first half of games. I mean, like they put it on people, and they put it on people early when they were on script. Lincoln Riley's little brother was fantastic as the OC, and they were able to jump people early. And listen, they still have recruited to top 15 classes for years now. So they have talent, especially the skill positions. We talked about yesterday how they don't necessarily go get a lot of talent from the non-skill positions and like develop 4- and 5-star offensive linemen or anything like that. But they've got a lot of talent at the other skill positions, and that's great. The concern I have, if you're South Carolina, is you cannot have this thing get put away early, which means especially in the first half. No turnovers, no dumb 4th down decisions, nothing like that. But all that being said, the confidence that I have between the offense and the defense, the main confidence I have, and I didn't think I would say this maybe even a week ago, but most of the season, the side of the ball that I'm most confident in is the offense. I mean, the offense has been consistently moving the ball, putting up points. Your quarterback has 17 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions in his last 5 games. You have the longest active winning streak in the SEC. They have turned a corner. I've said it over and over, especially on offense with this young quarterback who is going to be one of the most fun quarterbacks to watch in the entire country over the next 2 years. Maybe 3 if he doesn't go pro. But, like, that's how good they've been. The receivers, you've seen different people stepping up from there, and it's been phenomenal. It's been phenomenal to watch. As of today, Tuesday, November 26th, at 5:24 p.m. Eastern time, yeah, I have more faith in the offense. And that's not to say I don't have more faith in defense. What it actually is to say, I think this is the first time, guys. I think this is the first time in maybe over a decade where I look at the three phases of this game. And if you want to bring up coaching, say 4. I'm not talking about past resumes. I'm not talking about what Dabo did years ago. I'm not talking about what Clemson has done against ACC teams. I'm talking about today. Today. And maybe I'm an idiot, but I believe South Carolina has the advantage in offense, defense, special teams, and coaching. Now, we've seen them get in their own way, but as of right now, the way both teams are playing, yeah, I think it's a fair statement. They take away the coaching part of it. If Clemson fans don't want to get butthurt about it, I would take South Carolina's offense right now over Clemson's. I would take South Carolina's defense over Clemson's right now, all day, every day, and twice on Sunday. And don't get us started on the special teams. Beamer Ball, Kai Kroger, it's the first time in a decade I think you can say that, but I think it's a factual statement to say this South Carolina team is better in all 3 phases. And I think they have the ability to be better in the coaching thing. Now, what we need to shy away from is all these damn 4th down calls. And this game more than anything is not a let it rip, we'll figure it out, and going for it on our own 40 early on. No. You have a great defense. Pin them deep, make them travel the length of the field. You need to make this a 60-minute fight. But here's the other part of it, okay? You cannot turn this into not just the Ole Miss game, but we look at the scoreboard, we're down 14. Because in that environment especially, it's going to be hard to come back from. We'll get more into it. We're going to close out the show with a very quick segment on my favorite Thanksgiving sides. Because I got to go. I'm sorry. But we're going to have plenty more content tomorrow too. I promise. I appreciate you guys joining us. Before we go to commercial, let me tell you one more time about our friends at FanDuel. Man, listen, get ready to tackle the NFL action with our friends at FanDuel. It is America's number one sportsbook and is one of the official sportsbook partners of the NFL. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right. Stick around. We will be right back with the final segment of today's Locked On Gamecocks. Appreciate you guys. All right. Listen, we need 3 segments. We need to have more time together. Okay. We need to be more grateful, have more gratitude, all that kind of stuff. But we gotta have 3 segments. And I don't want to get into all the ins and outs. I'll give you a stat. How about that? How about I give you guys a stat that I looked up today as a part of my deep dive that I was going to wait for tomorrow, but I'll tell you today. How about that? I did my deep dive of the playoff resumes. I'll show you on my phone. There it is. Playoff resumes. Pretty good looking graphic, if I do say so myself. And it's comparing the contender resumes from everyone else. South Carolina's on there. So I looked at opponent winning percentage, strength of schedule rank, and top 25 wins. South Carolina has a opponent winning percentage of 525, which is the 4th highest out of any of the 15 teams on here. They have a strength of schedule rank, which is 12th. That's the 3rd highest, one behind Georgia and Bama. Bama's at 11. That's behind there. Top 25 wins against current top 25 teams. They have 2. That is tied for the 2nd most as well. You look at Clemson. Wins over top 25 opponents that are currently ranked, 0. Strength of schedule, 57th. Opponent winning percentage, 430. It's one of the lowest in the entire conference. All right, why is that important? Clemson they've only played 2 teams with winning records all season. The 430 winning percentage is one of the worst in not only out of those 15, I said conference earlier, I meant 15 teams in the contenders. for the college football playoff. Listen, Clemson has what is the total? It is 113th. Their opponent winning percentage is 113th in the country, which is the third worst of any Power 5 team, not just in whatever conferences or in the contenders. I mean, the third worst of any Power 4 conference team in the country. That's really bad. That's really bad. So I think it goes back into feeding into this idea of like they haven't played anybody. South Carolina's battle tested. Go win it. Right. We'll get more into that tomorrow. And I appreciate you guys. Real quick. Power 5 Thanksgiving side dishes. I saw this all over the internet today. I gotta weigh in on it. I'll give you one. It's for me, it's green bean casserole. I think it's green bean casserole. 2, I would say stuffing or dressing, whatever you want to call it. I don't care between 2. 3rd is mashed potatoes. 4, I'm gonna say sweet potato souffle, which is souffle, I think, is a casserole with pronouns. That's all I know. Please don't get me canceled for that. I thought it was funny. The souffle, I'm not talking about the one with the marshmallows. That's gross to me. No offense if you like that. I'm much more big on the pecan crusted top. That's just for me. And 5th, I gotta go with mac and cheese, but it's gotta be good mac and cheese. Like it's gotta be like you should be able to like run a knife over the top of it and hear the scrape. Like the cheese needs to be a solid top. You know what I mean? Tell me yours in the comments, and we can debate back and forth. I'm sure there's something I've missed too. All right, that is all for today's show. I appreciate you guys listening in. Remember, thank you for making Locked On Gamecocks your first listen. For your second listen, do me a favor, go listen to Chris Gordy in the Locked On SEC podcast. Until tomorrow, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your afternoon, and we will see you then. Go Cox.